Alright, we're live. Hello everyone, Artemu the Violet Wizard here. And today we're continuing the Pokémon Sapphire Nuzlocke run. Last time we managed to win our first gym badge by defeating Roxanne over in Rustboro City. As we can see from our trainer card, we got our first badge of 8. And this time we're going to be earning our second gym badge, hopefully. And then we'll be able to continue our journey throughout the Hoenn region. So this is going to be a pretty good session for a number of reasons. I do want to clarify that I am feeling a little congested at the moment, so hopefully it doesn't affect too much of our performance here today. Now before we go into this session, I wanted to quickly show off our bag, as since last time we acquired a lot of items in the midst of doing a ton of training in order to prepare for this next gym battle in the next section of the game. So we have accumulated a large supply of items that are going to be very useful to us. Especially this one, the rare candy, as that's an item that basically gives you a free level up on one of your Pokemon. And I feel like it would be pretty appropriate to use this for one particular Pokemon on our team who is rather difficult to train. So as you can see, in between sessions, we trained up the party up to level 17, as I felt that this would be a suitable level for taking on the challenges of the gym and also to prepare ourselves for what's to come. And I feel like it'd be appropriate if we use the rare candy we picked up on Carl, as due to his ability Truant, he's just a very difficult Pokemon to train, and I would rather get this out of the way now before we get started doing anything else. So, Carl, I'd like you to take this rare candy. If I must. Hold on. What's happening? Oh man, I am so full of energy right now! Woo, I feel great! Let's get some battles done, trainer! Yeah! So yep, Slackoff is able to evolve at level 18 into Vigoroth. And this guy no longer has Truant. Instead, he has Vital Spirit, which prevents him from ever falling asleep. Surely that won't affect his ability to access a certain feature of a certain game released later in the series. But yeah, I wanted to take care of that for Carl simply because I do not like using Slackoff in battle because of its ability. But yeah, the rest of the team is doing pretty good. Especially want to highlight Gladys here, as her wing attack is definitely going to be very useful in the next area we're going to. And while we were training, Velvet also learned Gust, which is a flying type attack that is definitely going to serve her well going forward. So everyone else is looking pretty good as well. The other big change on the team is that Shari actually has a stab attack, as she learned Bite during the training process. And there's also a few other Pokemon in the PC that we trained up, but we're gonna worry about them in a little bit. So for now, we want to step into the Dewford Gym. Hey, how's it going, champion-bound Hayden? Dewford's gym leader Brawly commands fighting-type Pokemon. Going against him with normal-type Pokemon is asking for trouble. Fighting Pokemon lay a serious smackdown on normal Pokemon, so be careful. What's worse, the gym is as dark as the ocean floor, but it'll get brighter after defeating the trainers in your way. Hey, go for it! So the gimmick here of this gym is that this area is very, very dark, and it is also a maze. So we just need to navigate through this area and try to find where the gym leader is. I'm gonna try to fight all the trainers we can find around here, so hopefully we should have a good time of that. So here in the Dewford Gym, we're of course going to be facing the fighting type, which are typically very strong physical attackers, some of which can also tend to be very bulky, but we shouldn't have too many problems with dealing with this area. We have a ton of flying type Pokemon, which can easily handle the threats around here. So let's just walk around the dark and... oh wow, we already found the gym leader. Yeah, if I remember correctly, the layout of this area is very different in Emerald compared to how it is in Ruby and Sapphire. And then the entire gym is completely reworked in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, where they make it seem a lot more like a gym for working out. And also play with the darkness gimmick in a different way. I'm trying to... yep, it's certainly very different between the two versions. So we're just gonna have Gladys finish off these fighters here. Should get you about ready to... yep, level 18. So that is gonna be really good for what we're gonna be facing very soon. So going into the Pokemon we're encountering here in this gym, we of course encountered Machop in the last session. But we also have a new opponent here, which is a Meditite. A Pokemon you're unable to catch in Emerald, but in Ruby, Sapphire, and the remakes, you're able to encounter these guys. And yeah, they can tend to be pretty good Pokemon. They're definitely ones that... I don't know, I like them, but I haven't really had a lot of time actually using them for a number of reasons. One, they're just... we're not going to really get to a chance to use one in our team until way later on in this game, so... yeah, we'll definitely worry about that eventually. And hello, Xavier, welcome to the stream. Alright, got a good hit on there with Velvet, taking out that next black belt. So yeah, another neat thing with the Generation 3 games is that this actually the generation that debuted a female counterpart to the Black Belt trainers, specifically the Battle Girls. And it's quite nice to get to see some ladies also being able to practice the martial arts in this series. And there's actually quite the large number of female fighting type specialists in the series, which I am quite happy about. So no, gotta get that representation, you know? Yeah, just want to quickly heal up the team before we're ready to go with this battle. So I've also equipped Oran Berries to our Beautifly, and Gladys is going to be keeping the King's Rock, as that could be very handy against the gym leader here, depending on how things go. Yeah, we shall be leading with Velvet for the start of this fight, and maybe switch in Gladys, depending on how things go with this particular match. Yep, it's time to face our next gym leader. I'm Brawly, Dewford's gym leader. I've been churned in the rough waves of these parts, and I've grown tough in the pitch-black cave. So, you want to challenge me? Let me see what you're made of! So Brawly here isn't a martial artist himself, but rather a surfer, which is quite fitting for the island locale that his gym is in. So he's going to be starting with a Machop. So we are going to be pretty good with this fight. Ooh, this guy actually has Seismic Toss. That can be a bit nasty. So I want to lead with Velvet in this fight, because as a bug flying type, she has a really large resistance to fighting type moves. However, we got a decent chunk of damage taken out of us by that Machop Seismic Toss, as that does set damage based on the level of either the user or the opponent's level. I always forget that. But anyway, our next opponent here is this dumpling-shaped fighter, Makuhita. This guy's definitely a lot more tanky compared to Machop, but can still be quite fearsome. See, this guy is starting by boosting its stats with Bulk Up. That is quite the good status move, being able to raise attack and defense. Not like it matters, because Velvet was able to take it out anyway. Woo, good work, girl.
Now that really wasn't too much trouble, was it?
Whoa, you made a much bigger splash than I expected. You swamped me. Okay, you've got me. Take this gym badge. Alright, that battle definitely was faster than I was anticipating. Yeah, this guy can really give you trouble if you're not prepared for him, as his Pokemon are both very strong physically, and most of the Pokemon you encounter in the early game are either normal or dark, so watch out for that. The Knuckle Badge makes all Pokemon up to level 30, even those you get in trades obey without question. And you'll be able to use the HM move Flash outside of battle. If you like, use this technical machine too. And it gives us TM8. That TM8 contains Bulk Up. It's a move that raises both attack and defense stats. So that is going to be a very, very useful move to us in the future. I can definitely imagine that we'll want to teach that to one of our Pokemon for some of the things we'll be doing later. Man, that really went better than I anticipated. Yeah, between Velvet and Gladys, I had high hopes that we would be able to get through that gym battle. But believe me when I say there's another fight coming up pretty soon that I am honestly quite worried about. I've actually been anxious about that particular battle for a few days, so hopefully when we eventually get to it, things are going to be a bit better. As we can see here, want to quickly go into the box to show that in between the sessions, I felt like training up some of our other Pokemon. Namely, Titania, I see is going to be very useful. As being a Rock Steel type, she has very good resistances against a lot of Pokemon. And then I also train up Echo because he has a brave nature, and that complements his typing very nicely. So, for this next area, definitely want to take Velvet with us in, and I guess we can give Carl a break for now, so we can get ourselves introduced to Titania. So, what do we got with our little dinosaur lady here? You are one who caught me, yes? Yes, I did. Good. You will train me, make me stronger. Okay. Good to hear that, Titania. Duh. Oh man, it's quite the cavalcade of Pokemon we got ourselves here. Now, what I would like to do is head back to Rustboro City in a bit, but we're gonna wait until a little bit later. So I do want to sell off all the loot we got in the last couple of our training, but we'll say that for a little bit. So I don't believe I have a repel on me here, but that's okay. So what I want to do is, we're going to be teaching the new HM we got in the last session, which is Flash. We could teach that to Liam. Pretty much any grass type can learn this move, but we're going to give this to Velvet, as I have opinions on giving my starter Pokemon HM moves. We can get rid of String Shot. We really don't need to worry too much about lowering speed at this point, but lowering accuracy could be nice. So yeah, the main effect of Flash in battle is that it can lower the enemy's accuracy. in order to decrease the amount of times they're able to land hits on you. And actually thinking about what I want to do here, let's switch Shari into the front, as I want to prioritize leveling her up, as she is very close to getting something very good. But yeah, if we head into the lower levels of Granite Cave, this area is dark, much like how things were in Brawly's gym. So if we use our HM, that is able to increase our field of vision in the lower floors. This is going to be quite nice for navigating through this area. You don't need to use this move in order to navigate through this area, but it makes things a heck of a lot more convenient, you know? So against these Arons here, we're probably going to be relying on Liam for taking them out. They're just so sturdy that most of our Pokemon won't be able to do much damage to them. But Liam's grass-type moves should be able to cut through their defenses. Very good indeed. So this area is quite interesting in the different versions of the game. Notably, you can't even access the lower floors of Granite Cave in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire until you make some more progress into the game. At least until the point where you can get a bicycle. So that is pretty inconvenient because a lot of the good Pokemon you can get in this area are on the lower floors. But of course, you can also run into wild Makuhita in this area. Honestly, I was kind of hoping we would get a Makuhita for our team in the last session. But Aron is still a really good Pokemon, so I'm quite happy we got Titania. So down here in this little alcove, we can get a Pokeball. That'll be good for later. And I do want to show we have this little sandy incline here. No matter what we do, we cannot go up it. So we're going to have to wait a while before we can actually do anything about that. Also, we can find these guys, Abra. They are a Psychic-type Pokemon, and some of the best special attackers you can run into this game. However, they are quite nasty, because the only attack they have is Teleport, which will take them out of the battle, completely removing your ability to catch them, which is obviously quite nasty. So if you want to add an Abra to your team, you just gotta be really lucky. And if you're doing a Nuzlocke run, then you have to be especially lucky. There have actually been a few times I managed to catch Abra in a Nuzlocke run, and actually gone to use them on my team. It's only a few times I've actually been pretty successful. Like, if anyone's familiar with my Emerald comic from back in the day, I did have an Abra there that I managed to evolve into a Kadabra, and he was definitely a very powerful member of our squad. Until we got around the halfway point of the game, where luck wasn't on our side and he ended up getting taken out. But you know, it's still a very good Pokemon. It's very powerful, but it's also very frail, so you gotta watch out for that when using that particular Pokemon. But yeah, in between the different versions here, on the lower floors of Granite Cave, you're able to run into one of two Pokemon depending on the version you're playing. So in Ruby and Omega Ruby, you are able to run into a Pokemon called Mawile, which is a pure Steel type in the Gen 3 games, but in Gen 6 it becomes Steel Fairy, and oh man, if you can get one in Omega Ruby, it is such a great Pokemon because it has access to its Mega Evolution in that game. And it is just such an incredible Pokemon. I've definitely used them on my teams in the past. It's just incredible. Highly recommend using those guys. And if you're playing Sapphire, Alpha Sapphire, or Emerald, you can run into the Pokemon Sableye, which is definitely quite cool for a number of reasons. Namely, that is a Ghost Dark type. And that typing makes it so that this Pokemon is basically completely devoid of weaknesses. It is just a very cool Pokemon to use during Nuzlocke runs. And I'm pretty sure that Sableye... Yeah, we saw this little gremlin right now. Yeah, we could have ended up with this instead of Titania down here. I really like the lore for these guys, like how their body is encrusted with gems because they are Sableye's favorite food, and even its eyes are shaped like gemstones. Just a very cool Pokemon, one I have a lot of attachment to. Though I haven't really used them in a lot of recent games. Much like Mawile, it also got a Mega Evolution in the Gen 6 games, so that's definitely a good reason to want to use Sableye if you're doing a playthrough of... Alpha Sapphire. Yeah, in terms of something else I want to mention, yeah, if you're playing Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, I highly recommend exploring this place, as you can definitely get yourself some good items. And I believe there's also a Mega Stone that you can find down here, so definitely keep that in mind if you're going through this place. Also here on the lower levels, we are able to find these rocks over here. We're not going to be able to do anything with these boulders at the moment, but later on we will be able to get a move in order to break them. And this is pretty much the only way you're able to find Nosepass in the wild. Yeah, we have nothing to smash these rocks, but those are your key to adding Nosepass to your team. Honestly, it's a decent Pokemon. Definitely more so if you're playing Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, because in those games, it has access to its evolution Probopass, and it's honestly not too bad to get it evolved and able to be able to use that form in battle, so I definitely recommend those guys if you're playing through Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. But in the Gen 3 games, they're really not the best compared to other rock-type options. Like, they're definitely a lot weaker than Aron when it comes to their battle abilities. At least in these games. Alright, could you please stop leeching on Shari? There we go. We take that little pest out. We also got Zubats around here, which, you know, is actually a really good Pokemon despite how weak they seem at first. Definitely one of my most used Pokemon I've been using in, like, all of my Pokemon teams. So those guys are just very fast. Being a poison flying type, they got some really good resistances. And, yeah, they actually grow pretty fast compared to a lot of other Pokemon. Especially when it comes to getting their final form, because, oh boy, you put in the effort and you can get yourself a really good, fully evolved Pokemon by around the time you're ready for the third gym in this game. They are incredible. But speaking of incredible things here, we got ourselves a new evolution for Shari. Oh yeah, I am feeling pumped! So now Shari is turning into a big hyena. So she is now evolved into Mightyena. Whoo! I am looking really strong now. Yes, you are, Shari. You're gonna be just really good to us here. So now that you've evolved, your ability has changed from Runaway to Intimidate. This is going to be really useful as a debuff, as being able to lower an opponent's attack stat when the Pokemon is sent out is going to be really, really good for us. So yeah, Shari is definitely going to get some good use. Now, she is an early game Pokemon, so eventually she's going to start to fall in use as we go later on in the adventure, but she is still a very capable Pokemon at this point, and could be quite useful in a few late-game battles, depending on how things go. Definitely want to switch out against you. Is Makuhita here at this level? If they're at least level 10, they can have a fighting-type move called Arm Thrust, which can do 2 to 5 hits on an opponent. And that can be quite nasty. So take those guys out as quickly as you can, or try to run away. And by making it through that ladder, we should be just at the end of Granite Cave. We're actually back on the first floor, just on a higher section of this area. Alright, there's no way Titania should be able to outspeed this thing. Yep. Come back here, you coward! We get to show off some of Titania's use against this Zubat here. Yeah, in between the training sessions, we also got a pretty good stab move for Titania in Metal Claw. This thing is pretty damn nice, as not only does it do damage, it has a chance of lowering the increasing the Pokemon's attack, which can be quite useful to us. That device you have there, it's a Pokénav. When trainers that have Pokénavs battle, it keeps a record of how things went, I think. Oh, pardon me, my name is Steven. I'm interested in rare stones, so I travel here and there. Oh, a letter from me? So let us hand over the letter. Okay, thank you. You went through all this trouble to deliver that. I need a thank you. Let me see. I'll give you this TM. It contains my favorite move, Steel Wing. So that could be quite nice. Your Pokemon appear quite capable. If you keep training, you could even become the champion of the Pokemon League one day. That's what I think. Now, I've got to hurry along. There he goes. There's nothing more we need to worry about in this chamber of Granite Cave. So now that we have delivered the letter to Steven, we are now able to move forward in our adventure. This also means that technically the gym here in Dewford is completely optional, at least until a certain point in the adventure, as you only need to deliver the letter to Steven in order to open up the path to the next area. And Flash, as I have hinted at, is not really necessary. It is good for being able to have higher visibility in dark areas like Granite Cave, but it doesn't really come up too often in the adventure, and yeah, it's also not really a move I like to have on my Pokemon through a good majority of the adventure, so that's what I want to say on that. So, for the next thing I want to do, I was thinking we could bring Carl back into the party, now that some of us have started to grow a lot more, and we're going to swap out Mickey, because I feel like that tricky little badger isn't going to be too helpful in the next section of the game we're going to. But we should be good for the next thing I want to do. So first off, I want to head back to Petalburg so that we can eventually get back to Rustboro. So once you deliver the letter to Steven, Mr. Briny will now be able to ferry us to Slateport City, which is definitely going to be an area we'll be exploring a lot of pretty soon. But for now, we want to head back to Rustboro in order to take care of some things that are available to us here. We're just going to leave those two to their merry dance around the table and head back to town. So while we're going through here, what's something we could talk about? I've just been kind of trying to relax, as this is a day off from work. and I'm going to be working the rest of the weekend, so that's definitely something I am not really looking forward to. But I got another pretty light week coming up, so we should get some ample opportunity to have more streams in a bit. So yeah, I've just been trying to relax here, and like I said, I am a little congested because I wasn't feeling too great yesterday. So yeah, I'm mainly going to be trying to relax here and just try to do what I would like on my day off. So now that we're back in town, let us sell these items that we have gathered here. So we picked up an Everstone. That's an item we're not really going to use, but we will hold on to that. The Stardust, we're going to sell that for $1,000. Definitely nice. And then we have these nuggets that we picked up with Mickey. These things are worth 5,000 apiece. So yeah, you're easily able to get a lot from those guys. So then we have this item, a Revive. So this is a special healing item that can revive a Pokemon that is fainted to about half of its maximum HP. However, this is a Nuzlocke run, and Pokemon that faint are considered permanently dead. So we are just going to sell this Revive. We have no use for this thing in the rest of the challenge, so might as well do that. And I don't think we need to worry too much about Pokeballs or medicine for the time being, so we're just going to forget about buying anything else here. Now, the next thing I want to do is head back into the Devon Corporation, as we're going to want to speak with the president of the company now. That we have accomplished our mission. You delivered my letter. Thank you kindly. This is my way of thanking you. It should help you, a trainer. So for that, we obtain the Experience Share. So this is a pretty nice item if you want to raise up Pokemon. So what the Experience Share is a hold item you can give to a Pokemon, and while it's in your party, it will receive experience points after you defeat an opponent, even if it doesn't participate in the battle. Definitely a nice way if you want to raise up a weaker Pokemon like, say, Magikarp, without having to constantly send it out and then having to switch it back out. Yeah, definitely a very convenient item. Of course, in the more recent games, the Experience Share has been completely retooled, so that now it's a key item that is able to grant any Pokemon in your party experience points, regardless of whether they participated in a fight. And I know that little change has been very controversial in the Pokemon fan base for a good amount of time, and I just want to say here, the new experience system is good. I really am not a fan of the way things are back in the old days. Like, yeah, I've obviously played through the older generations of games tons of times. But after experiencing the newer games and being able to have your entire team grow just from defeating one opponent, that is so much more preferable than having to train up one Pokemon at a time. Oh, man. Yeah, definitely more fond of the more modern system they use for distributing experience among Pokemon. So while we're sailing back over to Dewford, I do want to mention that around this area, we do have a valid catch we could do in Petalburg City if we were to fish in the water. However, we are going to hold off on that until a bit later, as there is another potential Pokemon we could catch in that area, and I want to see if we can try and go for that instead of the other thing we could run into. So I'm pretty sure there's nothing left we need to do here. I mean, let's check what the trendy saying is. Yep, it's still none habit. So another neat thing in Dewford Town, if you go into this house and talk to the people in here, they will just have some dialogue relating to whatever the trendy saying is. We don't need to worry about this for the time being, so let us sail off to Slateport. We are just zipping past so many different routes. So now that we are here, we got ourselves a bit of a beach day. So we got ourselves a couple trainers we can fight along the beach here on our way to Slateport. So let's go take care of all these guys. Starting with a Sailor, which is definitely a classic Pokemon trainer type. These guys will typically use physically oriented Pokemon like Machop, or they will use water-type Pokemon. So definitely bear that in mind when you're facing these guys. Gladys just easily able to sweep aside that Machop for us. Yeah, that's right, sir. I am the best.
Our sandcastle's taken a long time to make.
I always really liked making sandcastles when I was a kid. Ooh, we can pick up some soft sand from this girl. Yeah, good luck with that, you two. So soft sand is a hold item, much like the Miracle Seed, which will increase the power of ground-type attacks. Oh, I didn't know that. Good to know, Javier. Alright, so next opponent here. Ooh, that is a water type. So we're actually going to switch out and give Carl a chance to shine here. Oh yeah, let's do this! So Wingull is a water flying type Pokemon, which means this thing takes massive damage from electric type attacks. Yeah, this one really isn't too special. I mean, I have used Wingull before, back when I streamed Emerald, so I got a lot of attachment to the little seagull, but yeah, it's kind of awkward to recommend using this Pokemon in the earlier games when this thing gets so much better starting in Generation 7 when it gets access to the ability Drizzle. I've actually used Pelipper in a few of the competitive teams that I built for whenever there would be a Pokemon tournament hosted over on Discord. So it's been quite nice to get an opportunity to showcase the strengths of this particular Pokemon. But yeah, really not much we gotta worry for Wingull here. It does have water and flying attacks you gotta watch out for, but not much else. So we're getting a really good move for Gladys here, Double Team. So that move will increase a Pokemon's evasion, making them less likely to be hit by an opponent. Definitely nice if you want to go through a long battle and want to avoid taking as much damage as possible. Speaking of which, I'm very happy that Gladys got that level, because I'm expecting her to try and get as many experience points as we can in this section of the game. For now, we can take care of a few of the other guys around here, such as Tuber Ricky. If my memory is correct, I actually want to avoid using Titania against this kid. So let's switch on back to Carl. But yeah, we're really gonna be able to see here just how good Carl is in battle. Now that he's not tied down by Truant, he is a really good fighter, and definitely expecting him to be a really good fit for this team for quite a while, depending on how things go. He's just a very strong physical attacker, and really excited to see if we can go further with him. I always like that bit of dialogue from this tuber here. Forgot to mention it, but tubers will typically use around the lower tier water types, typically. So we got this Pokemon here, Azurill, which is actually a normal type Pokemon, though it is able to learn water type attacks. This thing is what's known as a baby Pokemon, which typically have lower stats compared to other Pokemon you find at their levels. But they tend to grow pretty quickly into their final forms. So in the case of Azurill, this thing, you would need to increase its friendship to be able to get it to evolve into Meryl. Which honestly isn't too hard to build up if you know the proper strats for raising a Pokemon's friendship levels. Yep, I always like this line of dialogue where she mentions that the beach umbrellas look as if it is a flower garden. It's a very cute little piece of dialogue there. The water around these parts is clean, but I get my Zigzagoon to pick up litter from the shoreline at times. Dirty water becomes rain and joins our rivers, which we drink from. If we pollute to the sea, it all comes back to haunt us eventually. Definitely some good environmental messaging there. You typically see a lot of environmental messages in the Pokemon series, and that is no exception. Hello, Rahim. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a good day. So over here on the beach, we got ourselves an area we definitely want to check out. So we also got some trainers inside this hut. And I highly recommend defeating every single trainer in this area. Starting with Simon. Yeah, it should be very little effort for Titania. I shall crush you. Woo! Critical hit too. And you got the attack buff. Very good, Titania. Next up, we got Meryl. Against you, we're actually gonna switch out. So Meryl tend to be on the more tanky side, having pretty good HP and defenses. They're not too good when it comes to damage, unless you're able to pull one that has the ability Huge Power, which essentially doubles its attack stat. Yeah, definitely quite the nice thing you're able to get if you manage to roll pretty lucky with your encounters when it comes to Meryl. Though, I'm not too much of a fan of using Meryl in this generation, because it isn't able to really take advantage of the potential of Huge Power until some of the later games. And then, of course, it also eventually gets the Fairy typing, in which case it becomes even better of a fighter. So over here, we got ourselves Goldeen. This is a water-type Pokemon that you could have encountered by fishing in freshwater. So yeah, obviously I held back on this particular Pokemon, because, not gonna lie, I'm not much of a fan of Goldeen. I mean, it is very pretty looking, but yeah, it's really not that good compared to other water-type options in this adventure. It's actually pretty funny. I did use the Goldeen line in the very first Nuzlocke run I ever did, and he was actually pretty good until I eventually retired him for another water type. But, you know, they're still decent. I mean, they have good attack power. It's just they're kind of awkward to use at this point in the game, as they're not fully able to take advantage of its stats. But definitely in the later games, the Goldeen line, it can be really good. And they've especially learned a lot of different attacks in the later games, like Mega Horn and Drill Run and Smart Strike. That gives them a lot of versatility in battle. That's a good question there, Rahim. I think it basically just comes down to personal preference when it comes to those games. Because I quite like Fire Red and Emerald a lot. They're just very solid Pokemon games. Sure, they're a bit antiquated by today's standards, but they're still really damn good games. I'm in the personal opinion that the Pokemon series is pretty consistent when it comes to quality for most of the games. Though, for some of the more recent games, that's a little bit of a debatable and subjective for quite a few people. But for the most part, I still enjoy the modern games, especially the ones on the Switch. But yep, always good to go back to the older games to get a feel for how things were back in the day. So now that we cleared up that fight, I'm probably actually going to switch Liam to the front here for the next thing we're eventually going to do. You're scorching hot! Those battles blazed! I'm more than just satisfied. As thanks for showing me your hot streak, I want you to take these. It's half a dozen bottles of soda pop. Ah, hell yeah! So by beating all the trainers in here, you get 6 bottles of soda completely free. This is a really good healing item that you definitely want to pick up. This thing restores 60 HP, meaning they're even better than the super potions that are now available to us. And there's another quality to these particular items that I quite enjoy that we're gonna be able to see here. So we talk to this man again. We're able to buy soda pop from him for $300. This is pretty much the best healing item you're able to get for a long time, as they are both cheaper than super potions and they restore more HP. So yeah, definitely stock up on soda pop from the Seashore House. They're just such good items to get. But with all that taken care of, it's time to finally head into Slateport City. The light of the lighthouse reaches dozens of miles away. I wonder if it doesn't startle Pokemon in the sea. Yeah, this area definitely has a lot that we are going to see. Just want to quickly head over to the Pokemon Center so that we can heal up our team after the last couple of battles we did. And then I want to head over to the PC to take care of something that I forgot to take care of. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it from this screen. Yeah, this is more of a thing in Emerald. You're able to freely swap around the items held by your Pokemon in the PC. So we're going to forget about that. We're going to go into our personal PC, as this area is quite useful for storing items that you don't need. So we're going to go ahead and store a PP up, our Everstone, and Experience Share. I don't think we're going to need soft sand for the time being, so we'll swap that out as well. So yeah, you definitely want to make use of the PC for storing items, as especially in Ruby and Sapphire, inventory space when it comes to items is limited. So definitely watch out for that. So there is a ton of stuff that we're able to do here in Slateport City. Yeah, wait so long for this Pokemon contest I'm gonna enter. Before I do, I have to catch some Pokemon. We will definitely deal with that eventually. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff we can see here in Slateport, so we're definitely going to be checking as much as we can. So we go into this place. It's actually the residence of the Name Raider. If you want to change the nicknames of one of your Pokemon, you're freely able to do so here. Definitely quite useful to us. And of course we have a mart over here. So let's check the inventory of items. So we are able to purchase Great Balls here, which is definitely something we'll want to stock up on. Actually, let's buy a couple of these. Those are going to be really useful coming up. And of course we can buy Super Potions, though we really don't need to worry about those anytime soon. I could also recommend picking up a Harbor Mail here at the store, but we're not going to worry about that at the moment. But do note that item will be important as something a bit later on. head into this building. I am the chairman of the Pokémon Fan Club. Being the chairman, I'm naturally the most important. No one could best me when it comes to raising Pokémon. No one. In any contest, my victory is a foregone conclusion. But that would deprive others of their enjoyment. So, I now while away my time examining the Pokémon of others. It's marvelous to witness how others have raised Pokémon. The contented faces of properly raised Pokémon. The kind and loving gazes of the trainers. My heart's overwhelmed. There is so much happiness. Oh my, excuse me, I seem to have nattered on far too long. Please, do allow me to examine your Pokémon, see how it's grown. I see. It's not bad, but it's not good either. You, the trainer, must put more effort into raising this Pokémon. For instance, may I suggest you give it more Pokeblocks? So that'll be something we'll want to discuss later.
I love seeing Pokemon that love their trainers. Pokemon are very sensitive to the feelings of their trainers. If you treat your Pokemon with love and care, they'll love you back. When your Pokemon grow to love you, please come show me. Your Pokemon really adores you. For you, a most compassionate trainer, a gift from the fan club.
So by talking with her, with a Pokemon that has a high enough friendship, we're able to acquire a Soothe Bell. So this item is key to helping you evolve Pokemon that require high friendship, such as Zubat or Azurill. So definitely give them this item. It's going to be very useful for raising them up. So yeah, this area definitely talks a bit about needing to increase the potential of your Pokemon, and also offers a few advice on how to build up your Pokemon's friendship. So obviously we have the Soothe Bell, and that girl earlier mentioned giving a protein to a Pokemon to make it more friendly. And we also have this lady here. Wow, it's plain to see you lavish your love on your Grovyle. Okay, it's named Liam. Can I ask you a favor? I'm a TV reporter, and I'm running a survey on Pokemon. Would you be willing to answer a few simple questions for me? Sure thing. Great, thank you. Okay, here goes. I just need quick answers, okay? When you first met Grovyle, what did you feel? How would you describe your feelings at the time? So this is an interesting mechanic here, where we have the ability to answer surveys from various interviewers that we meet over on our journey. So I could say that I was feeling quite giddy when I met Liam. Okay, that makes sense. Next question might be a little on the tough side. Here goes. What do Pokemon mean to you? Family. I see. Okay, thanks for helping me out. It was fun and enlightening chatting with you. It's possible our interview will end up on TV. Tune in and check. Okay, that's all. Bye-bye. So we got kind of a Mad Lib system where we're able to fill out these different surveys in order to be able to get across your feelings on a certain number of things, such as how you feel about a particular Pokemon. So I believe she'll specifically ask about the first Pokemon in your party, which is why she talked about Liam earlier. And yeah, just a nice way to be able to interact with this world in a unique way. And it's also quite nice, as that will affect something we'll be able to do a little later, but we'll want to worry about that in a bit. Do you know the TM's secret power? Our group, we love the TM secret power. One of our members will give it to you. Come back and show me if you get it. We'll accept you as a member and sell you good stuff in secrecy. So we got ourselves a marketplace over here that we'll want to visit a bit later. Ooh, the seaweed you get around these parts is fresh and full of life. Looks like it can even rear up and attack. Nah, that would only happen if we were like possess an anchor or something. Although I can imagine that that would fetch a good price over at auctions in the Paldea region. I'm the energy guru. I'll go for it. Sell you what you need. So for this guy, you're actually able to buy the various vitamins that can help increase your Pokemon's stats. quite useful if you want your Pokemon to grow and have much better stats than they would normally. And I believe this guy, if we talk to you, he will sell us Pokemon dolls. These options, I would only really want the Meryl doll, so we'll go ahead and buy that. That will be useful for something we'll eventually get to see, but we're not going to worry too much about that at the moment. Next thing I want to do, if we head up north, we can see that there is a museum over here. But it seems like some Team Aqua members are also in the area.
Hey there, quit pushing! This the line, can't you see?
So yeah, it seems like Team Aqua is interested in this area. And it's a lot more Team Aqua members than we encountered back in Petalburg Woods and Rustboro. So I believe in Emerald, there is a grunt here that will mention how he wishes he brought his Game Boy Advance in order to pass the time while waiting in line. So, you know, that's another fun little detail that they added in. So we'll definitely want to check out the museum a bit later. If we head over this way, we got ourselves a bit of a special area. It's definitely a more industrial area compared to what we had seen previously. If this goes here and that goes over there, then where does this thing go? And what about this doohickey? Ugh, I can't make heads or tails of this. Hi, I'm Dog. Captain Stern commissioned me to design a ferry. Oh, that there. Are they Devon goods? But, this won't do. Captain Stern went off somewhere. He said he had some work to do. Could I get you to go find Captain Stern and deliver that to him? So we were able to find an area associated with Captain Stern, though he doesn't appear to be here at the moment. So yeah, coming in here is actually integral to advance the story of this game, so definitely remember to do this before we press onward. But yeah, I definitely like the look of Slateport City. Just really has that coastal port town that you would expect from a lot of other areas. Has nice atmosphere. I love the music here. And there's a lot of cool services that are available to us. So, yeah, but it's definitely a nice little place to get to see on this point of our journey. So now that we talked with Doc, the line to the Slateport Museum is now open. So let us head inside. Welcome to the Oceanic Museum. The entrance fee is $50. Would you like to enter? Sure thing. Ah! What are you doing here? Me? I'm the Team Aqua member you thumped before, remember? Oh, hey, Tulio, what's up? Here, take this. You have to forgive me. So for that, we get ourselves TM46. Ah, darn it, you so screwed up our plans. I was gonna rip off something to make up for it, but just you wait. You'll get yours one day. So that TM he gave us is the TM for Thief. This is a dark-type attack that enables us to steal held items from wild and trainer Pokemon. It can be quite nice if we need to acquire some exclusive items that can only be found by stealing them from Pokemon. And certainly more useful in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, as those games make it a lot more easy to be able to detect when a certain Pokemon holds a certain item. So what's nice about the museum here is you can examine most of the different displays here, and they give you a bit of real-world information regarding the ocean and water, which is certainly very cool. A lot of the Pokemon games like to add little educational bits like this. Like there was the museum in the Generation 1 games that had exhibits based on prehistory as well as space exploration. So that's always cool. And then, of course, we have this museum here, which is a lot more focused on the oceans. So, yep, I definitely like the atmosphere of this place. I could just easily chill out here. Like, the music is phenomenal. It has just a good feel to it. I love it so much. Now, over here, we got some other exhibits we can check. Got a submersible pod and a submarine replica. And on this table, we got the Ferry SS Tidal. Scale replica of the ship under construction at Stern Shipyard. Oh, so we heard that there was a ferry being constructed earlier. And, of course, we got some more exhibits we can check out on the upper floor. Definitely useful if you want to just read a little bit more about the oceans and stuff. And then over here, we have a model of the SS Anne, which was a pretty important set piece in the Generation 1 games. That was always an area I quite liked visiting, just boarding a cruise ship and getting to talk with all the passengers there. That was a fun experience for the first Pokemon game. But anyway, it's time to talk to the captain. Yes, if you're looking for Stern, that would be me. Ah, that must be the part I ordered from Mr. Stone of Devon. Thank you, that's great. We can prepare for our expedition now. Uh-oh. Ha ha ha! Hold it! We'll take those parts. What? Who are you people? We're Team Aqua. Our boss wants those parts. Shut your yap and fork 'em over. So we got ourselves a battle here as we gotta defend Captain Stern. So the Aqua Grunts here will be using some new Pokemon compared to what we saw before, starting with Carvanha. This thing is a pretty fast and a strong water dark type. So definitely watch out if you have a fire, rock, ground, or psychic type Pokemon on your team. However, they're very frail, so Liam should have no trouble taking these things out. Aw man, what a disaster! The boss is gonna be furious. Sniveling wimp, let me take care of this. And we got another grunt to take care of. This one, of course, has a Zubat. Because, you know, every villainous team has to use Zubat for some reason. We're gonna let Titania handle this one. She should be able to weather anything the Zubat can do. Another thing I do want to note if you're playing the Generation 6 remakes of these games. So in Generation 6, the Steel type actually lost 2 of their resistances, specifically to Dark and Ghost attacks. So it's important to remember that when you're playing those games, as Steel's obviously a very good defensive typing, but in the more modern games, they do lose out on a few resistances, so watch out for that. And then next up is another Carvanha. We're going to switch over to Liam to handle this one. And we should be good. Alright, away with you, scurvy dogs! And that should be it for this battle. What? I lost 2? Now what? If we don't get the pots, we're in for it. I didn't count on being meddled with by some meddling kid. I came to see what was taking so long to snatch some parts, and you simps are being held up by a mere child? I am Team Aqua's Archie. Tell me, why do you meddle in the noble affairs of Team Aqua? Pokemon, people, all life depends on the sea. So, Team Aqua is dedicated to the expansion of the sea. Don't you agree? What we're doing is a magnificent undertaking. Fine, you're still too young. It can't be helped that you do not understand our ideals. But if you ever oppose us again, there will be consequences. Heed my warning. Farewell.
You're Hoenn. Anyway, that was a tense situation. Thank you for saving us. Oh yes, I almost forgot you even brought the parts from Devon. So let us hand those over. Whoops, there's no time to lose. We have to set out on our ocean floor expedition really soon. Thanks and excuse me. And there goes the captain. Just excuse me a second here. My nose is starting to get a bit runny and I need to deal with this. Oh man, let me tell ya, doing a live stream when your nose is congested, it is the worst. But thanks to our efforts, we were able to repel Team Aqua, at least for the time being. And there's pretty much nothing left we need to do in Slateport City. That was basically the last thing we needed to take care of here. So we definitely got plenty of time left in this session. We'll probably go for like another 25 minutes or so. So we definitely got ourselves a bit more we'll be able to see in this area. But for the next thing I want to do, how about we check out this place? Pokemon Contest Hyper Rank Registration. Let it burn, Pokemon trainers! I have two, so you can have one. So this girl gives us a Pokeblock case. That'll be quite useful for something we'll be able to do. I want to raise a Pokemon that's the ultimate in great for both battles and contests. It's vexing trying to figure out which moves I should make it learn. Do any of your friends have any berries? Use that berry blender and make Pokeblocks with your friends. You should try it. It's a lot of fun. If you win a contest, they put up a poster of your Pokemon on the wall. It'll have a portrait of your Pokemon and both your names. Oh, we can see someone entered a contest with a Pelipper. Let's actually check this place out here. Hello there. We're accepting registrations for Hyper Rank Pokemon contests. Anyone with a contest pass may enter. You may obtain a contest pass at the normal rank contest hall in Verdant Turf Town free of charge. Please obtain a contest pass and come again. So we're not really able to do anything here at the moment. But we did get a nice key item for our trouble, as this thing will be quite useful a bit later. So this area is actually tied for a certain mini-game that is available in the Generation Free games. So we're not going to be making a major goal of ours to participate in Pokemon contests, but I would like to demonstrate this at least once sometime in the near future. But with that said, we got ourselves a new area available to us. So how about we see if we can obtain a new catch in this area? Given our options, let's lead with Titania for this. She should be pretty good at resisting most of what the Pokemon around here can do. Just walk around the gas in this area, and I was kind of expecting to see this guy here. So Gulpin here is a poison-type Pokemon. This thing is definitely more on the tanky side, and is quite useful at being able to inflict debuffs on opponents while it's just taking attacks. So yeah, not one I typically use a lot of the time, but is one I quite enjoy, just based on this little guy's concept.
So this thing is actually basically a living stomach, and it's able to just digest anything it can fit inside of its mouth. So, yeah. Definitely don't want to deal too much with this little guy here. But, you know, it's a decent encounter for this area. There's certainly some other Pokemon I would have preferred to encounter here, but, you know, this one's a good one too. So Gulpin, the stomach Pokemon. Most of Gulpin's body is made up of its stomach. Its heart and brain are very small in comparison. This Pokemon's stomach contains special enzymes that dissolve anything. So yeah, definitely the voracious fellow. So I actually had a name in mind if we encountered a Gulpin in this area. I want to call you Bobble. I just feel like that's a very cute name for this particular Pokemon. What can I say? Alright. Now we've taken care of that. Which should I choose? Make a beeline for Mauville on Cycling Road, or take the low road and look for Pokemon? So over here we got ourselves a bike-specific area. Sorry, you can't walk on Cycling Road. It's too dangerous. Please come back with a bike. So yeah, we're not able to explore that section of the route until much later on. But we'll want to remember that, as this area will offer up some new things we'll be able to do much later on. But for now, we got ourselves some more opponents to fight here. Starting with a Pokefan, who is using a Plusle. So this cutie over here is basically the Hoenn region counterpart to Pikachu. It's an electric-type Pokemon, and can be a bit useful to you on your teams. So Plusle here is actually a pretty decent attacker, all things considered. It's not really the best Pokemon you can acquire here in this area, but it's certainly a cute one. It's got some nice versatility to it. Yeah, it's certainly one I would have liked to have been able to catch in this area, but no dice. It is still a pretty good Pokemon to acquire here. And then the next Pokemon in Isabelle's team is Minun. So this is the negative counterpart to Plusle, which is more positive. So Minun, compared to the two, is a bit more on the defensive side. So that is something you'll want to remember with these guys. Yeah, this one's a bit weaker than Plusle, but I mean, it's not awful, just not really one that I would particularly want to use. So the neat gimmick with these specific Pokemon is their abilities, plus and minus. So when you have a Pokemon with plus or minus in a double battle, and you have both of these abilities on your Pokemon, it gives them a boost to their attack power, which can be quite nice. So the main deal with these Pokemon is that they're designed in order to support each other in a double battle. But yeah, obviously it just feels a little redundant to have two electric-type Pokemon on a team, especially two that play very similar to each other. So yeah, we're not gonna really worry about any of that. Also, double battles are pretty rare in this particular game unless you're doing competitive, so there is really no benefit in these kind of runs to trying to go with trying to do the plus and minus strat. But, you know, they're very cute Pokemon. Quite like them conceptually, but in terms of practicality, there are a lot better electric-type Pokemon you can get here in the Hoenn region. So, definitely don't recommend Plusle or Minun over those other options that we'll eventually get to. For now, we're gonna make a detour over to the left here, as we got a few things we can see. Considering what we have available to us, we're probably actually gonna need to swap in our buddy Mickey pretty soon, but we'll worry about that a bit later. So for now, we got ourselves a new foe here, Roselia. So this Pokemon is a grass and poison type. And it is quite nice in this game. So obviously, this thing has to wait another generation until it gets itself an evolution. But, you know, it's still a good Pokemon here in the Hoenn region. As is typical of a grass type, it has access to a lot of status moves that can be really good at debuffing opponents. Like, it was able to paralyze Velvet in order to lower her speed. So that's definitely some good utility with this specific Pokemon. And we'll definitely want to stop off in town in a little bit, but we're not going to worry about that at the moment. So we got some other things that we're able to do around here. So we talked to these two, we get ourselves another double battle. And I'm pretty sure on their team, Amy and Liv got ourselves a Plusle and a Minun. So we're actually going to get to see these things actually be able to pull out their strategies. As I said, Plusle's more of the offensive one of the duo, so we're going to take you out first. Yeah, it's pretty optimal in double battles to gang up on one specific Pokemon so that you have a good chance of taking it out, and then being able to finish off the remaining Pokemon now that all other threats have been taken care of. Alright, so Titania, we're gonna have you go for... actually gonna Mudslap the Minun, then we'll have Carl finish off the Plusle. Now, another move these Pokemon get is Helping Hand. That is a move that's pretty much exclusive to double battles, as it is able to actually increase the damage of the next attack that your partner is going to use in battle. Can be quite nice in a number of situations, though in this game when double battles are so rare, I really don't recommend having Helping Hand in your Pokemon's moveset. It's really not going to be that great in the long run. But if you're playing through games that do have a focus on double battles, like Pokemon Coliseum, XD Gale of Darkness, and the Indigo Disc DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, then I could actually recommend Helping Hand. It's a really good buffing move in those circumstances. But here, yeah, it's not really that great. We're gonna give Titania a little break from fighting here, now that you've taken care of a good number of opponents. And let's see what else we can find on this route. My Pokemon's delightfully adorable! So we got ourselves a male Pokefan. Yep, Pokefans come in both male and female forms, as is expected of this series. So we got ourselves a Skitty. This is one of the Pokemon we could have caught on Route 116, but thankfully we didn't, because this really isn't that great of a Pokemon. I mean, the only thing this really has available to it is debuffing a Pokemon using status moves like Sing. This thing really isn't all that strong, so Carl's just gonna easily take care of this thing. Ooh, except for that. So that is a very unique status ailment called Attract. It's only able to work on Pokemon of the opposite gender of the Pokemon using the move. But when it does affect them, it makes your Pokemon incapable of being able to attack an opponent most of the time. So in this instance, Carl is completely infatuated with this Skitty. Oh man, I don't know why you're commanding me to attack this Pokemon. It's so attractive. Dude, that's a kitten! You know what? In order to better deal with you, let's switch to a female Pokemon. So Shari will take you out. Alright, let's do this! So you should be pretty good at handling this thing. Oh yeah, Shari is quite the good battler in this form, so she's definitely going to be very helpful against some of the opponents in this section. My delightful Pokemon looks darling even when it's fainted. Alright, I believe there is one more trainer we can fight in this area. Yeah. Other options here. Yeah, we'll probably want to wake up Velvet. We can use you against this guy. Come on, let's do this. Ah, my fishing line's all snarled up. I'm getting frustrated and mean. That's it. Battle me! Fine, we'll see what you got, buddy. So, Fisherman Andrew has got himself Magikarp. More of the same Pokemon we have seen before. This is gonna be no trouble for us to take out. Very good. So while we're just dealing with this guy, what's something else we could mention? Well, I guess I could say that I've been making some more progress in going through Celeste. Very recently, I beat the level where you're in the section where the wind is blowing very fast, and you have that really good section on the gondola where Madeline starts to have a panic attack and Theo is able to calm her down. Just such a great scene. I love it so much. It's very integral to the overall theming of that particular game. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be trying to put a bit more effort into trying to go through Celeste the next couple of days. Especially because there's some things I want to try and do next week if I have the time for it. Like, obviously, I'm also going to need to put time into doing these streams and also drawing art that I feel would be appropriate for the sessions that we are doing. But there's also quite a few games that I would also like to get to play in my spare time. And especially next week, I have a lot of free time coming up, so I'll definitely see what I'm able to take care of. Speaking of things that we were able to do, so pretty earlier this week, I actually got done some art that I was very proud of getting done. Yeah, we'll swap out Titania for now. Just so we can have Mickey for your utility. Yeah, I got done some art pretty recently that I was very excited to finally get around to doing, as it relates to a game that I played last year called Mario and Luigi Brothership, which, if you haven't experienced it, highly recommend it. It's a pretty good game. And while I do have a lot of problems with some of the things involved with that game, like, good lord, the pacing is just really bad in some places. But still overall had a great time with it, and I really love the overall theming the game has about the bonds between the different people and how they give us strength. Like that, I obviously really dug from that game's narrative. But of course, the art that I was specifically doing was some art of the game's main villain, who has just a really cool design and concept. And I'm quite happy that when I posted it on a DeviantArt, it's been getting some pretty good traction lately, so I've definitely been very happy about that. And getting to see a lot more people checking out some of my work. It's definitely a very good feeling to me as an artist, especially in this day and age where people are definitely taking a lot of shortcuts when it comes to producing content, so it's nice to have something that I put a lot of effort into getting recognition and being praised. Now, if we step into this building, you're being watched. Who's there? Huh? Ugh. How'd you know I conceal myself beneath this desk? You're sharp. Behold, for I am the greatest living mystery of a man in all of Hoenn. They call me the Trick Master. Glad to meet you. You've come to challenge my trick house, haven't you? That's why you're here, isn't it? Yes, it is. Consider your challenge accepted! Enter for the scroll there and let your challenge commence! I shall be waiting in the back!
So this is an NPC that I feel is one of the most iconic characters in the Generation Free games. And I do not understand why they never brought this guy back. So the Trick Master, his house is home to a lot of different puzzles and challenges that we're going to be tackling over the course of our adventure. So typically, you want to visit this guy after you earn a gym badge, as he will offer a different challenge whenever you manage to reach a certain goal when it comes to completion of this game's story. And it is definitely very nice to visit this place, as you get some pretty good exclusive items this way. And also you have a lot of opportunities to be able to battle trainers, as we have here. Yeah, just a very cool gimmick with this area, being a location that offers different puzzles and challenges when you visit it at different points of the adventure. Definitely an area I love to visit every time I am playing through the Generation Free games. God, it's so good. Although they do nerf this concept a bit in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which I kind of don't really like that much. So I really like spending just as much time as I can with this guy in his house full of weird puzzles and stuff. It's definitely a fun time, and I love going through here. Alright, I was a little worried that Meryl was going to use a certain other attack at its disposal, but it didn't do it, so that's good. Let's just sap away your health. Which you got plenty of, because Meryl is a bit of a tank. Yeah, in terms of some other stuff I want to talk about lately, so pretty recently, I've been seeing some people that I typically watch live stream. They were checking out a game that recently has entered early access, and a lot of people have started to check out. So it's a game called Hytale, and if you haven't heard of it, it's basically a game made in the style of Minecraft, and I believe the people who made Hytale actually got their game development chops from doing mods for Minecraft. So it's quite cool getting to see them using their experience to make an official game that is obviously very similar to Minecraft, but actually offers up a lot of unique things compared to the original game. And yeah, just been pretty cool getting to check out some of the stuff that I got to see from those streamers. And yeah, it's definitely a game that I want to grab at some point, because it looks so fun, and it seems like it's going to get a lot of support over the next couple of years. So it'll definitely be really cool to check out and get to see what's at store for us. So yeah, I definitely want to grab that. And there's another game that I was watching Iron Mouse play earlier this morning, where she was going through a Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is obviously a game that I have wanted on my radar for quite a number of years, but I haven't grabbed it due to technical limitations, because obviously my older PC made it pretty tricky for me to get motivated to play a lot more intensive games like that. But now that I have a new rig, I definitely feel that I would have a pretty good time going through the Final Fantasy VII Remake. It definitely seems like it's up my alley. Like, I had previously streamed the original Final Fantasy VII on my Twitch channel ages ago. Oh wow, Mickey found us another King's Rock. That is quite good. Might as well give that to Shari, because why not? Give you more opportunities to flinch opponents. So yeah, I am definitely very eager to get to
go through that particular game. It's one I've wanted to play for quite some time, and I have seen a full playthrough of it on one of the YouTube channels I follow, which is Brain Scratch Commentaries. So obviously I know a good deal of what to expect when going through that particular game. Like, the fact that they were able to take the small portion of the original Final Fantasy VII, where you're just going through the Midgar city, and just expand that into a full-blown game with so many different side quests, so many new things to discover, just... God, it is just so insane to think of how much that game was able to bring and what it was able to do. And with the second half of the Final Fantasy VII Remake experience, basically out in the form of Rebirth, and then we're eventually going to get the final entry in the Final Fantasy VII Remake series in a few more years. But I'm obviously pretty excited to see what they do for the end game there, considering how familiar I am with the original Final Fantasy VII. It's going to be quite interesting to see how they are going to finish off this particular story. So, in the room we were previously in, we picked up some orange mail. So yeah, that is an item you're able to give to Pokemon to hold. You can write a message and then send that message to another player. So yeah, there's really no reason for me to hold on to these, and we're mostly going to sell these whenever we pick them up. But they are here if you are after them. Ah! You made it to me! Ah, you're sharp. It took me all night to plant all those trees. You're almost my equal in greatness by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places! Fine, you've earned this reward. And we get a rare candy. Very good. Scrub that smug smirk from your face. It's much too early to think you've won. I'll make new tricks to stump you, I will. Come back for the next exciting installment. And the dude just rockets through his own roof. What is this frickin' NPC? Yeah, that is quite the fun character we got to see here. Alright, before we go any farther, I am most likely gonna swap Mickey out of my party, as we're not really gonna be needing his services in this next route. And considering what we got coming up soon, oh boy. At the very least, we have plenty of reserves in case the worst should happen. Hey there, Bubble, how you doing? Didn't bother to check your statistics. It's got liquid ooze, and you have a serious nature. Yeah, so that's pretty neutral. And you could be nice backup in case things should happen. Man, we actually have a full box of reserves at this point. Quite nice, considering what's going to be coming up pretty soon. For this next part, how about we lead with Carl? I feel like that's a pretty good idea. Alright, so there's one last thing I want to do in this session before we call things. And that is to get through Route 110. So definitely make sure that your team is prepared for what's ahead. So we got ourselves a lot coming up. Do I want to use this rare candy? Probably not. I mean, I could see that being good for Gladys to get you an extra level for something. Yeah, let's go ahead and give this to Gladys. We are going to need the extra stats on her for what's coming up. Like, I know it seems weird for me to be just having this sense of dread going on to this route, but trust me, anyone who is familiar with the Generation 3 games, you know that there is a very, very difficult part that we have to get through. Yeah, we are gonna want to be careful around this area. So this route, you can expect to encounter a lot of Pokemon that can inflict status ailments on you. I mean, we got Wingles here that they can inflict confusion on you, but that's really not too bad. But the Gulpin we encountered before are able to poison you. And there are also some electric types in this area you can encounter. And those ones are able to paralyze you with their attacks. So it can be quite nasty to have to deal with those. So we got youngster Tema! Let's go take out what he's got on this team. Definitely be a nice way to build up some of our stats for what's to come. Alright, Carl wants to learn Fury Swipes. Do I want that on you? I mean, it does 2 to 5 hits, so it could potentially be better than Scratch. You know what? We don't need Encore, so we'll go ahead and forget that. I would definitely appreciate more options of attacking my opponents. Next up is Aron. Alright, it's nothing we haven't encountered before. So we're gonna have Liam take out you. You are a bit more of a defensive Pokemon, but thankfully we should be able to handle this. Ooh, that actually did quite a bit of damage. So Aron is a pretty good physical attacker, so even though this thing may look small, it can really dish out damage. And it's also nasty that it has Mud Slap, as that can lower the accuracy of your Pokemon. Definitely something you want to watch out for with these little guys. Woo, that was a critical hit! So I would very much like to not take one of those before we're at the end here. Let's go ahead and use a Super Potion. We have plenty of these. Ow. Cut it out, you. Alright, we got that last Absorb. Very good. And that gets ourselves another level up for Liam. Very nice. And then we got Electrike. So this is one of the other Pokemon we could have gone on this route. And honestly, I would have really liked to get this one. So Electrike is a really fast electric-type Pokemon and can be quite good on your team. Just a very strong Pokemon that's got some pretty good strengths overall. And being an electric-type, it's only got one weakness. So as long as you're able to build your team in order to avoid having to send out your Electrike against those kind of Pokemon, you're good. Definitely a very useful team member, especially in Nuzlocke runs. Now that we've taken care of you, please get rid of this paralysis. We got ourselves something coming up. Anyone who is familiar with this particular game, you know what is going to be happening. Oh boy. Let's make sure our team is fully healed for what's to come. So I really don't know which Pokemon I want to lead this particular fight. I mean, I definitely have some options, but I'm not too sure on the specific one. Might actually lead with... I might lead with Carl for this one. Liam could potentially also be a good lead, but... I don't know, I'm just kind of thinking about what this particular opponent's gonna be using against us, and... I know that the teams are quite different compared to how they are in Emerald. Hello there, Electrike. You're the Pokemon I would have really liked to get in this area. Sadly, we did not get you. I mean, at least we do have an opportunity to get Electrike in a later area. But yeah, it's gonna be a while until we can catch this Pokemon. So it would be quite nice for our team. Right, got another level up on Shari this time. And that's gonna be quite nice for what we're gonna be doing in a bit. Make sure our team is fully prepared. Shari, take a potion. Also, we gotta cure that paralysis. Alright, we got plenty of healing items. Our team is around level 19 to 20 range. So I'm feeling we should be good for this. Let us step forward.
Hi, Hoenn! Long time no see. While I was searching for other Pokemon, my Pokemon grew stronger. So, how about a little battle?
So our opponent here is May. Compared to the last time we fought her on Route 103, she has gone significantly tougher. She is leading here with a Wailmer, and I'm actually going to switch on over to Liam to deal with this thing. So Wailmer here is a water-type Pokemon, and is definitely a more bulky Pokemon than an offensive one. But you definitely want to be wary with this thing, because I believe there's one particular move this Pokemon gets that can be very nasty, and that's Rollout. Besides that, this one really shouldn't be too bad, especially since we have Liam. Yeah, there it is, Rollout. So that move will get stronger each time it is consecutively used. So we definitely want to take this thing out as quickly as we can. Alright, the Wailmer is down, and I have a feeling I know what's going to be sent out next. Yep, May's sending out her strongest Pokemon, Combuskin. This thing is a fire fighting type, and it is a very formidable Pokemon. So what I want to do here is I want to debuff this thing. So we're going to switch on over to Shari to get an Intimidate off on this thing. I'm fully expecting this thing to go for a Fire-type attack, and ooh, that's nasty. It's going for the Focus Energy. So we got ourselves a free turn here where we don't have to worry about damage, so let's go for Sand Attack. Try to weaken this thing as much as we can. Alright, it went for the Ember there. I got a critical hit. Shari cannot take another hit. There's pretty much one Pokemon that I need to count on for this battle, and that's Gladys. We got this thing debuffed. She should be able to handle the Combuskin. I will do the best I can here. Oh! Oh, that's real bad. She really took a big hit there. So what I want to do is try to get this Combuskin to try and miss an attack. Oh man, that Ember does so much damage. We should be good. We got a... If we can just get this thing to miss an attack, since we did get a Sand Attack off, we should be good. However, this is going to eat through a lot of our resources to see if we can get this result. This is really bad. That Ember is doing so much damage to Gladys. And this thing has used Focus Energy, so if this thing gets a crit, we are frickin' screwed here. There we go! It finally missed. Alright, Gladys, Wing Attack! Take that, you ruffian! Oh, man. This could be bad. Yeah, you can see that the Combuskin did more damage with Ember on that turn. That's because Combuskin's low on health, so its ability Blaze has activated, boosting the damage of its Fire-type attacks. Come on, Gladys, one more hit! There we go! Combuskin is out of here. Oh,
man, that was rather rough. I would like to request a break, please.
Sure thing, Gladys. You earned it. And her final Pokemon is Shroomish. We're gonna have Velvet handle this one. Just finish you off with Gust, and we should be done here. Yeah, this was the fight I was really anxious about for so many days. That Combuskin is so nasty. It is just such a strong Pokemon at this point in the adventure. It's that fire and fighting gives it so much coverage against most of the Pokemon you run into at this point in the game. Like, most of our team is comprised of normal and bug Pokemon. That really shows how much of a disadvantage we were at for this fight. But we pulled through and we won.
Yikes! You're better than I expected. Hayden, you've been busy training too, haven't you? I think you deserve a reward. This is from me.
And we get an item finder from May.
That's an item finder. Try it out. If there's an item that's not visible, it emits a sound. Okay, Hayden, let's meet again. I know it's a little silly coming from me, but I think you should train a lot harder for next time.
At the very least, we got through what's easily the roughest of our rival battles. Oh man, we really took a beating there, but the results speak for themselves. We were able to survive this encounter. Nobody had to faint. God, that fight is easily considered among the fan base a run ender. Because no matter which Pokemon that your rival will be using, it's still very formidable. Grovyle, Combuskin, and Marshtomp are all very strong by this point in the adventure, as they have much better stats than most other Pokemon you would have at this point. I mean, the Grovyle really isn't too bad, because you got good access to Bug and Flying Pokemon this early on. And there are at least a few grass types that can help you with the Marshtomp. That Combuskin, though, you need to really prepare for that thing, because it is just so nasty. Ugh. But let's test out this new item we got from May. So the item finder is a handy tool that lets you know if there is a hidden item on the screen you are currently on, making it really good for being able to track down goodies that you can potentially miss. It's especially useful if you're doing a randomizer run and you randomize the location of items, as that can obviously be something that could really be a good boon to you if you're able to find those very elusive items. Anyway, we got ourselves a familiar fellow here for anyone who has experienced the Generation 1 games. It's Oddish! It's a Pokemon I actually got to use in my Fire Red streams, and oh man, did he really pull through in that particular adventure. Can be quite a good Pokemon. It's got decent stats across the board. It's a little slow, but its ability can help mitigate that in some circumstances. So yeah, definitely a nice find in this area. And of course, we'll be able to encounter Oddish a bit more as we're going forward. For now, we gotta press onward and try to make it through this route alive. Revive. Yeah, we're not gonna worry too much about that. At least it'll give us some more money when we get to the next town, which actually isn't too far away. We have a few more battles we gotta do, but none of these fights are gonna be as bad as what we experienced with May, so we're just gonna breeze on past these matches. So over here, this guy is a collector, and he's using a Lombre. This is the evolution of Lotad, which we encountered previously. Yeah, this guy really isn't too bad. It's a water grass type, so you do need to watch out for that particular typing, but honestly, it's not too bad. And then we got Nuzleaf. the evolution of Seedot. This one definitely tends to be a lot more offensive compared to how Seedot is a lot more defensive. But, you know, it's really not that bad. And if you got a bug-type move, this thing is really weak to bug. So you can just easily take it out that way. Yep, that takes care of yet another battle. Very good. And we got a level up on Carl. Take that, buddy. Alright, Velvet, how about you take point from this point onward?
Okay, I'll do my best.
I mean, you pretty much did do your best in that last battle we were in. Yeah, you were quite nice. If things really got bad and we had to switch in Velvet against that Combusken, oh man. I highly doubt that she would have been able to take an Ember from that thing. So I really needed to rely on Gladys to knock out that Combusken. Otherwise, our entire team would have gotten swept. But thankfully, we were able to push through and manage to win that fight. Just take out that Abra. I failed to prophesize my own demise. Yeah, take that, buddy. I see your future. I see a shining light. I wonder what that's referring to. Just grab a few more little trinkets we can find on this road, and we should be good. And we're not gonna bother finding you. I mean, we could always use more experience, but right now I just want to end this session. Getting really tired, and we are almost at the 2-hour mark. I guess something else I will say before we are done this session. So, I recently uploaded the last video from my Pokemon Soul Silver Nuzlocke streams that I did on Twitch years ago. And, yep, that video should be public by tomorrow. And I will say now that I am done with uploading videos from that particular series, I'm probably going to stop uploading my older Twitch VODs, at least for the time being, as I'm probably going to want to focus on trying to get through our Sapphire Nuzlocke before I upload some other videos. Like, most of the other stuff we have to do is going to be some stuff that's going to require some editing that I need to do. And a lot of the other videos we still have to do are gonna be some of my other Pokemon playthroughs. So, obviously I don't want to bog down the channel too much with a lot of Pokemon content, as I do want to spread that out a bit more evenly through the next couple of months, you know? Especially with some of the other games I'm planning on streaming once we're eventually done with this Nuzlocke series. But yeah, uploads from here on out are going to be a lot less frequent, at least until we are done with Sapphire. Then we'll want to move on to other things. Ooh. So do I want this? So Velvet's now trying to learn Morning Sun. This is a move that will restore half of Velvet's HP in battle. But overall, it's kind of unreliable compared to just being able to use items. Now, some people tend to play Pokemon Nuzlocke runs using hardcore rules, which restricts the item usage they can do in battle. So that would make these type of moves more desirable. However, we're not going to be using those restrictions. We're going to be using as many items as we need in this run. So, we don't need to worry too much about Velvet needing to heal herself up. Okay, Wilmer, I know these things get rollout, so I'm going to switch you out. I do not want Velvet to take a rock-type attack. Yeah, see, I knew this thing was going to do that. I just knew it. So, Liam, can you handle this whale for me? As you wish, sir. Ha! You missed. Luckily, if you're able to disable or make the rollout miss, that will reset the damage the next time it is used back to its default state. So that is always quite nice if you're able to work around that particular move. So obviously in one of my older Pokémon Nuzlocke runs, I did have a moment during one of those videos where I lost a Pokemon due to an opponent using rollout, and obviously that quite sucked. Hopefully we're not gonna run into a situation like that anytime soon. Alright, thank you for handling that one, Liam. And that should be not the end. Alright, I'm getting a bit tired of this here. Shari, can you finish this next one? Hello, Moondrop. You managed to catch us right near the end of this particular stream, as we are going to be calling it very soon. But welcome to the stream. I hope you're having a good day. We just got through a pretty tough battle here on Route 110, so feel free to check out the VOD after the stream if you want to see that particular fight. Woohoo, boy, it was nasty. Alright, took out that fisherman, and that should be the last trainer in this area, for the time being. So now we managed to reach Mauville City. We're definitely going to see as much of this area as we can in the next session, but for now, I really want to rest. This was a very fun, but also very stressful session. So I'm definitely going to need some time in order to recuperate from this. But yeah, this was a pretty good session overall. Managed to get our second gym badge, managed to make our way to Mauville City, and managed to get through one of the more infamous fights in the game without having any fatalities. So that is quite nice. So I'm definitely going to take some time to prepare for the next session, but I will hope to see you all next week, where we'll be continuing our Pokemon Sapphire Nuzlocke, as we'll be seeing what we can do in and around Mauville City, and maybe we might challenge the gym here, who knows? So, until next time, have a good day, and take care.